What up, guys? This is Alex for the Big Screen Show, and for this latest review, we're going to be talking about Captain America: The Brave New World. Now, this is a rare video here because, unfortunately, Victor and Wyatt have not seen this movie yet, so I wanted to get my thoughts and review of this out of the way because I think there's plenty to talk about. Where normally I would usually do Instagram posts for movies like this when we don't have time to make any videos or anything like that. But I feel like this is something I really have to speak about. So I'm gonna just go ahead and get right into this review. Honestly, for Captain America: The Brave New World, I actually thought the movie was actually pretty good for the most part of what it is. It's not terrible. I won't call it like the best or like the greatest. I mean, really, it ranks at the very bottom for like the best Captain America movies. But honestly, for what the movie is, for the most part, is very enjoyable. I love the performances given by Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford in their respective roles for Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, and Harrison Ford as President Ross for this whole movie. Again, the performances for most of the cast was great and on point. The action sequences in the film were pretty great. The visual effects for the most part were actually pretty good, despite a few schlocky moments of VFX here and there. But for the most part, the effects surprisingly held up pretty well, and which says a lot, knowing how we all know about Marvel MCU with their visual effects and everything. So it actually went pretty well. And I honestly think that there are a few bit of messy moments in there for the movie when it comes to like the movie's pacing, and a few moments and decisions for the most part due to like the writing is very problematic for the most part, but not a lot. But honestly, the story is actually pretty compelling for the most part, as it's very good for driving the motivation and showing off Sam Wilson for the new Captain America and about why he was chosen for this role, as well as giving a pretty good character arc for President Ross and how it basically correlates to from his past actions in earlier MCU films and everything. But I will say there are a few characters, most few characters here and there where some were pretty well used. Other one was like basically pointless altogether. But for the most part, the movie was still very enjoyable due to like performances, great action sequences, pretty good theme and tone throughout. And honestly, I'm really surprised with how little comedy moments that we're used to with the MCU is. It actually felt pretty good serious tone throughout the film. So honestly, at the start of this, I'm actually gonna give Captain America: Brave New World a 6 out of 10. Gonna go further into this now. So right here from this point on, this is gonna be a spoiler warning. So if you haven't seen this movie, I want to say go watch it and give it a look. It's actually probably the most decent project that the MCU has done for like the past year or so. And I think it's by a bit of improvement, slowly but surely. But honestly, going to see the performance for Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford alone is worth the price of admission. So, and again, if you have seen this movie, then you are. I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. You already know what it is. Oh, first, I actually want to start with Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford. Anthony Mackie has done a phenomenal job and honestly solidifies himself as a good leading man for this role, as well showcase his progression as a new Captain America, or after coming out from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he's actually improved way more than what he was originally. Because the movie takes place, so it's to take place 2 years after the events of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So within universe timeline, so it's been about 3 years through about 3 years so far for Sam. That's what he mentioned with how he's been working long enough with Joaquin Torres, the new Falcon, and by Sam's sidekick partner throughout the whole film. But no, Anthony Mackie does like a very great performance as Sam Wilson, as he's showcasing his new skill sets for a better improved fighter, greater use of his shield throwing techniques, and how he basically utilize it through his fights and battles. Again, also showing first and foremost how he is a human person and how he's really using his will, determination, and his own skills that he's learned throughout all the years to use it for his missions. And I really like how the film really challenges him for this new enemy that he's facing that basically has a long connection with President Ross, and how he basically gets challenged every step of the way for what he wants to be for Captain America, but also showing why he is actually the best person to be Captain America, where he's willing to go above and beyond to help and stop any threats. And obviously, he does have his own very good moments, showcasing his character. You know how he never wants to back down. Never wants to back down. He'll always do what's right in support of the people. And again, I think also greater support of that is Carl Lumbly, who's returned as Isaiah Bradley. And again, boy, if you've seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, then you know his performances in there is like very emotional and ties into the core of what Sam wants to be, and at least be like an example of what the Captain America should be and represents for someone like Isaiah Bradley, who again was in prison and was in torture experimented on from the past. But also like how they may see Isaiah Bradley after Falcon and Winter Soldier. He has played more of the emotional core for Sam's progression, and also is more like a friend and mentor to him, training him as he becomes like much better, improved Captain America. And I swear, Isaiah Bradley's moments in the film is like so emotional and stuff that I honestly felt like I was gonna tear up in those moments as how he is used in the film plays off this certain core theme, or I should say external threat that's put in throughout the film. Again, ties into President Ross. Now, and basically how it is for like Sam, where he wants to be sure to make good on his promise to Isaiah and what he is as Captain America. And I'll say, yeah, Anthony Mackie. I cannot wait to see more of his performances as Sam Wilson's Captain America going into Doomsday, Secret Wars, and surprisingly, the movie is doing well in the box office. I honestly hope that he gets a trilogy. Now, moving on to Harrison Ford as President Ross. My goodness, Harrison Ford literally is going to this really enjoying his time in the movie. Because I think this is probably like the most great performance that he's done for like probably a good recent years, or at least better than what it was in Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny, where in this one he was giving it 100%. Whereas obviously to balance the line of President Ross as like the president who's trying to like make good on like being someone who keeps his promises, being more for change, diplomacy. But oftentimes, as we found later throughout the movie, you can see how he is kind of going back and forth between like how he was in like the past film with his original sense of nature of being like stubborn, hot-headed, and basically things don't go his way, he's just gonna bulldoze and force his ways through, which also ties into like his whole Thunderbolt name and everything. But also seeing Harrison Ford going through like these big moments of like pressure for his presidency, where it's like ongoing pressure, and he just feels like things aren't going to go his way. You just see that he's just ready to like blow, which I think is very pretty amazing for his performances. Yeah, so but yeah, and also like how the movie doesn't shy away from like his past actions to where from like the Incredible Hulk, Civil War, and how basically, and because like he is basically part of the reason why the Avengers separated, basically split, and then of course 2008 the Hulk, where he was relentlessly hunting Bruce Banner and everything. So honestly, I like how they didn't shy away that and actually made all that stuff come forward, and how it basically does shine a spotlight on him and his past actions, which goes a lot more into like the main antagonist of the film. Tim Blake Nelson comes back as Professor Dr. Samuel Stearns, which you haven't seen since 2008's The Incredible Hulk movie. So that was something to see. And honestly, it just shows on more into like the terrible acts and secrets and cover up that Ross did, and how Stearns is basically Ross's consequences for not holding up his end of the deal, because we find out Stearns was promised after he got not mutated and everything, and how President Ross basically had kept him in a lab in prison for 2 years, for like 16 years, which fun fact, 16 years. It's about as long as it was from 2008 all the way up to this point for 2024 2025, which it's kind of like a little nice little nod there, but also goes a lot more on showcasing how long it's been. But yeah, that was pretty good. But honestly, I do like how Stearns basically. I wasn't not a fan of like the look that it was for this one. I mean, you get used to it pretty quickly, but from what we've seen from like the concept art, you thought they were gonna go for a more comic accurate look for like the leader from like the comics and everything. So like I do not know why they changed that up because the original concept was much better. But for this one, I guess it kind of fits to show more grotesque looking, how like his brain is kind of like has kind of like mutated his whole thought processing and everything. I'm not quite sure how else to put that. But honestly, yeah, it does show off how of a genius mind he has. Since 16 years being like Ross's own think tank to get him elected as president, but then Ross basically just lies to him and just leaves him in his own lab locked away. So honestly, it makes sense why he have like why Stern have like such a huge grudge, and you can honestly feel like it's sort of like control over the situation that keep where the dangers keep increasing as Ross gets more pressured into like this whole political war over the adamantium that was used by the body of the Celestials, which all the way came from Eternal. So I'm honestly glad they were finally getting something from that, since I don't think there's been a MCU project after that that's even barely even acknowledged that in any way. So I kind of like that they're bringing this forward, and honestly, kind of makes more kind of helps to try and tie it all together before the whole multiversal war ends. And with the whole Ant-Man thing, is getting close to us to bringing the X-Men into the MCU. So I'm just waiting more for on that one, thankfully. But yeah, you can definitely feel Stern's sense of control over everything, organizing the possible the arranging the theft of like a piece of the adamantium sample to basically Ross getting framed for him organizing the own theft of the adamantium from the Japanese. There, but I will say there honestly is an odd moment where you do feel his control and everything, but it seems like his old thought processing where he can like predict and calculate every other possibility. I wouldn't it works for the most part. Oftentimes I think whenever there's a bit of like when Sam overcomes each part of it, it almost seems like in the later part of the movie is not as really consistent or as accurate as anything that it comes from like from like initially early in the film for the most part. But honestly, his story still works very well. And I like how the marketing didn't really give away his look, and how it basically kept the mystery of what like his whole plan was, whole plan was, which I honestly really enjoyed. But honestly, what was a really dumb decision for the movie part is that how after he had freed himself from his own lab and set everything in motion to finally get Ross to go out of control, he basically just decides to just give himself up, which I thought was, I don't know what kind of why they made that type of decision, honestly. But honestly, because again, if you spend all this time to escape, why would he go back in? Because anything that came afterwards, where he was like releasing like leaked voice messages and making this news article and releasing to the public about Ross's cover-ups and lies pertaining to Stearns and everything. I don't know why he didn't just release all that and still be like out in the wind. That kind of creates more of a greater sense for like how it goes in like the comics, where these villains are defeated, but then all of a sudden they like either like they get away or stopped, and or go to fight another day, something like that. Because if he was so smart and able to escape from his lab, I don't know why even if he got arrested again, I don't know why he didn't just escape again. That didn't really make much more sense to me at all whatsoever. I think that was a pretty dumb decision. But oh no, I really liked how Stearns basically challenged Sam Wilson to basically try to overcome this enemy who's meant to like completely estimate your probability to know about almost everything to the greatest accountability, as well as also pushing Ross's own character arc to seeing of whether he's gonna prove to CERN that he's still the same hot-headed, manipulative military guy, or if he's actually gonna represent what he wants to as a change for himself. Because again, we even get more of like an emotional aspect to Ross with how he's changing because of what happened in the past, and also because of his daughter Betty. So now getting on to gotta talk Giancarlo Esposito. He just does great in whatever role that he's given. But honestly, I think his character Sidewinder might be one of his coolest roles. Like he even said in interviews that his character Sidewinder is just badass, and I would have to agree. It was so cool. I do wish he had been more prevalent in throughout the movie, but I think there was enough of him where it basically ties into like the overarching challenge and plan by Samuel Stearns and estimation of like ways to take down Sam Wilson, but as we all know, it didn't work out that well. Sam Wilson, he coming in clutch. He's so much improved and everything, but Giancarlo Esposito Sidewinder is very confident and so badass. But again, I also like how this is a pretty good introduction to like the Serpent Society, where instead of them being like snake themed villains who commit crimes, they're basically just a mercenary group, which again fits within this specific type of tone political thriller that this movie was set to be. And even though by the end of the second act, due to Sam making a deal with Tim, he's basically said like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to prison, but I'm gonna escape. I'm gonna kill you." But that's badass. So I honestly do hope this is not the last that we see of Esposito's Sidewinder, because honestly, that could be a whole setup for the sequel for Sam's Cap. Honestly, that way then we get to see more of like the Serpent Society and its members. And honestly, as we all know about the reshoots and how like the movie had cut some more members of the Serpent Society, such as Seth Rollins' King Cobra. This is actually the sequel will actually be a very good chance to bring those type of characters that were cut into back into the fold. That way, then it really helps to kind of like get more and more depth and exploration into this, and also kind of give more better opportunities for like more better action. I guess you say better grounded action in the sense for practicality and things like that, with a little bit of special effects and everything. I'm mostly saying this because I'm thinking to like for like how filming for the Thunderbolts movie coming out this year, and Sebastian Stan said it was a lot more practical and everything. So like, however that goes for the Thunderbolts with their practical filmmaking and the effects in there, I would actually like to see some of that integrated into Sam Wilson's next Cat movie, if it's possible. So I don't know, it's an option there. We'll see. But honestly, I do wish we had got to see more of Sidewinder, but he played his part well enough, and we got honestly, I think his action scene was still pretty good, but honestly, the rest of the action and the whole film, I think was excellent. 'Cause again, as I talked about earlier on in the film, Sam Wilson's Cap, boy, he went hard, way improved fighting with his unique style, utilizing better acrobatics, greater use of his wings, and again, such impressive use of the shield that he's improved upon. And I really love how his style and fighting is distinct and different from Steve Rogers was. Hand-to-hand combat scenes, he was phenomenal. Editing stuff in there were a bit touch and go, but I still very much enjoyed it. But my God, the aerial scenes when him and Joaquin Torres were flying over the water with the naval ships, and they were trying to stop the U.S. and Japan from fighting with each other. The aerial stuff that he was using that take out the missiles, disengage the jets and everything was amazing. And honestly, VFX there that were pretty solid. Again, I was actually surprised by how well the VFX actually worked out this whole film, even though it is very touching. Can still be very touch and go, but less so than what it was in previous films, like Love and Thunder, The Marvels, etc. Yeah, but again, I do. But with now talking about Joaquin Torres, since mentioned before, I really do love his character. It's very entertaining how he's always got this banter back and forth with Sam, but I also really love how he's still trying to learn the ropes, and Sam is really mentoring him to be like the new Falcon, even though oftentimes he goes like, "You're not the new Falcon," but walking, he's like, "Yeah, yes, I am. Yeah, I am." Because he's just ready to like really show out, and show what he can do. But he is still shown to always have Sam's back, and he got hands too. He's able to throw it down really good. But I do like how there are some moments when when after he had gotten shot down after stopping one of the missiles. That is, yes, that's Sam's first type of casualty. Joaquin was injured and hospitalized, but it does also give time for Sam to reflect on like whether he can still do this job. But I like how Bucky came in talking about like, you can do this. That's why Steve chose you. I really liked how he got the quote where everyone was inspired by Steve, but Sam is the person that people aspire to be, and I really like that because because y'all know Steve Rogers is like the epitome of what it means to be Captain America for what's right. But he's a super soldier. You love like the idea of him, but Sam as Captain America, who's a human, and he's doing all this for 2 to 3 years, so on, but does it through like his own skills as a human, everything. It really shows that that is someone that you can aspire to be with through the hard work and believing in what you're doing, and that no matter what's thrown at you or who you have or there's someone trying to stop you, you basically go and it's the right thing to do. You go ahead and go through and you do it. But I do also like how with Sam Wilson, the first thing he does for the most part, where instead of like punch first, ask questions later, he is always more like talk first. But if that doesn't go the way it has to, then he is gonna fight, and he's gonna give it hell to make sure that it gets done. Because again, even when we find out when Ross chooses to like imprison Isaiah, which is Isaiah's nightmare that's coming back again, one of those hard hitting moments with Isaiah that really hits with you, especially as a black person in America, as we most of us know. But it shows that Sam, first and foremost, is trying to have a discussion first, but if Ross isn't listening, or the villains that he's facing don't want to listen or surrender, then yeah, he's gonna go to work, and he is not gonna stop until he makes good and does what's right. Which again, very inspiring, and also why Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie's whole performance shows that he is Captain America. I just love that. Now, getting to the final part for this video, the Red Hulk versus Sam Wilson's Cap. Yeah, I know we've seen a lot of it from the trailer, so we already know that was coming, but there people are complaining about like, we didn't get enough of him. And I was thinking like, we got just enough of him. Also, especially like how the build up to that was actually working very good, honestly, because you got the whole pressure and confliction with Ross and how he's done things, and him Tracy trying to keep a lid on his own secrets as he's trying to keep like the whole treaty and trading for the adamantium with the other countries and stuff like that. Where again, he's not choosing to admit his own past mistakes or what's going or what's even happening to the other countries, specifically Japan. They're basically saying like, hey, why are you doing this to us? Why are you trying to steal resources back just so you can take it for yourself? But even though there is all a challenge along the way, where again he has the chance to actually come up from it, but then he's also thinking more on about himself and trying to keep his role as the president. But again, he's trying to force everything, but it's not going out the way he wants it to. So then we saw a lot of escalations. So all that build up, and then for Stern to finally keep on pushing and driving the pressure on even more so. The time for when Ross actually loses control, the whole build up thing just creates even more of a greater shock and gets more greater intensity. And honestly, for anyone who's seen the trailer or at least had know things from the comics, due to the overwhelming power of the Red Hulk and everything, Sam Wilson it cannot be able to last that long against the Red Hulk. So the time within Sam's fight with the Red Hulk and everything honestly fits perfectly throughout the fight. Sam was mostly being on the defensive while the Red Hulk is like just raging with power, destroying parts of the White House, showing that huge leaps in strength and a huge jumping capability. Man, boy, that's stuff we should have been seeing from like the Hulk from like the MCU like so many times, and like, oh boy, Marvel really dropped the ball with the Mark Ruffalo's Hulk and everything. Because like what Red Hulk was in this film, we should have been keeping we should have been keeping that energy with the Hulk. But it is what it is. But honestly, yeah, I really like how Sam was being on the defensive. But again, it really is most of the vibranium suit that he's wearing that helped keep him protected for long enough to where he was able to at least injure Red Hulk a bit, but also leading up to like this huge explosion using the vibranium suit that expels the kinetic energy to try and at least calm them down a little bit, to try and talk some sense with them. Because again, that is the greatest strength of Sam Wilson's Captain America, the empathy that he has, and he's willing to talk heart to heart about it. Because again, he is a counsel for veterans, which also played into Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I really did like, because that also gives more time for like greater expression for his character and what he's willing to talk with people who deserve a chance and emotion. And again, he did get through and was able to get Ross to calm down. But the fight really was intense, with Red Hulk literally keeping the pressure on Sam, trying to like dodge and weave, and basically keep the other people protected and safe away. And again, Sam Wilson did not come out unscathed. He came out injured. Like, he came injured throughout most of the film. He's been shot. He's been stabbed, bruised, like really bruised. I had to wear bandages and everything. And then by the end of the movie, he literally had like a broken arm and everything. So he came out injured. But again, it shows that even through all the injuries, he's still willing to get up and move on and move to still continue the fight. But again, that is Captain America right there. Now, then I see up this other thing. Shira Haas plays was a personal security Ruth. Her character was just useless. Like, there was literally like no point in her. She literally contributed nothing to the movie. Everything would have gone exactly the same without her in it. And I know that whole news thing where Haas was really supposed to be like this Israeli mutant superhero and everything, but like I heard that they cut that part out, and especially during the reshoots. But like, you're cutting all that, yet you're changing her character to be a Red Room assassin that doesn't even contribute anything, where everything would have gone the exact same way. I don't know why you didn't just get rid of her, especially since that it's already been established. Like, later in the movie, Ross also already has like a Secret Service security agent with him that was also a friend of Sam. So like, why didn't you just use her? Just use her instead and not use this useless Red Room assassin Black Widow who doesn't contribute anything really. So it's like, that's just a waste. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Captain America Brave New World was a very entertaining film, but also really enjoyed it for the most part due to like the performances and really greater showcasing as a greater character progression for Sam's Captain America, as well as giving a good new arc and stage of consequences for President Ross. And as we know, he ends up in the raft actually admitting to his actions, and he's willing to hold accountability. And could never in real life. This is kind of ironic, but moving on from that. But no, yeah, but he's trying to establish a relationship back with his daughter, who came to visit him in the raft. Again, still don't know why Samuel Stern chose to stay in prison. That was ridiculous. But honestly, the movie has like really solid action sequences, really good theme pertaining to like one's own legacy being Captain America, Ross's own legacy for what he's going to be remembered for, his character throughout the whole entire film. And it's a pretty okay political action thriller, but the tone is a political thriller, but what it is in itself isn't very political for the most part. It doesn't really go all in to how much it could be, or what was could have been like the original idea for like what the movie was before like the rewrites and the reshooting for it and all and everything. But honestly, the movie was very good for what it was. But again, it's not the best due to like issues for like the pacing, parts of the story that doesn't mesh well for some instances with like the character moments. Again, opponent's characters that could have just been written out altogether and wouldn't have changed the thing. So honestly, the movie itself was actually very good, enjoyable. Again, it's mostly carried by the performances and the action, but I will say not as great as the others, but is a really good stepping stone for what hopefully can be better for the MCU if it keeps going for like more stronger story that wants to go all in for what it's trying to do. If you're not gonna go all in with it, then I don't know, you might want to try a different route, but try and do more and greater improvements on like the visual effects, keeping greater parts of the action. All in all, I really did enjoy this movie. Honestly, do really cannot wait to see more of Sam Wilson's Cap. I really do want to see Giancarlo Sidewinder again later down the line. And I don't know if this is gonna be like the last time we see Harrison Ford's Ross. I hope not. I really hope we do get to see more down the line. I'd see him do more of the go more in Red Hulk mode. Either him being more in control of it, or at least where he goes all out. He goes all out in rage, but he can like just like direct it towards a specific target. So honestly, we'll see. But yeah, Captain America: Brave New World is enjoyable and decent political action thriller, but it is heavily carried by the performances all around and with greater action. But Marvel is working decently to get back up to what it used to be a couple years ago. But no, we'll see. Now, yeah, this has been the Big Screen Show. I'm Alex. I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.